specifically how to sell a client. And a client, the way I differentiate a client from a customer is a client is someone you're selling to in a service-based business. So a client is generally going to be a much more personal relationship, a much more engaged relationship, and is going to pay you much more per each transaction. A customer is a much smaller relationship. You might not even have direct contact with them, and it's going to be more volume based. So RLD right now is a customer based business, and I set it up that way because I really did not want to have another client based business for a while. Guys buy my book. The only time I talk to them is if they need another download link that I'll send to them. Basically, they buy the book, they get an automated email thanking them, and then they get an email from my email list breaking down what I think the key articles for them to read are. And that's pretty much it. I don't reach back out to that guy because in this day and age, most people don't want to get spammed. So I'm very careful with that. I don't send them a million follow-up emails because I hate when companies do that, so I don't do that to them. However, in a client relationship, it's completely different. They want to be in contact with you. If you're selling real estate, you're going to have a ton of contact points with a couple that's trying to buy the house, because they're going to have so many questions and they're going to want to see a million different houses. So that's a totally different ballgame. And I'm going to break down for you specifically how to sell a client. And when I was in sales, high level sales is always client based, right? The only people that are selling customers are like the call center workers, where they're just, hey, aluminum siding, buy it. Okay, you're not going to buy it? All right, done with this guy. That type of thing. So here's how to sell a client. First off, prospect. Okay, prospecting is what you do to find your leads. This means scouring the internet in your vertical and adding key information about your leads to the CRM. And you got to use a CRM. That's the customer relationship management tool. It's so important. And it's an area where most guys neglect. They don't do that properly, but use the CRM properly. Second you bring someone on board, you're going to have all the information about them, what they like, what their favorite sports team is, what you talked about last time. Very, very important. Majority of your results in sales are going to come from the output you put in. Okay, that means finding the right candidates for your product and as many candidates as possible. You need to know down to the letter which types of companies will be in the market for your product. Otherwise, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. Okay, you also need to focus on companies that are higher probability closes, because again, if you don't, you're going to be wasting your time. There's nothing wrong with trying to get huge blue chip companies on board, but you got to recognize that it might take you months just to get a hold of the right person. So you need to make sure to put a lot of focus on companies that you can close early on. So there's a lot that goes into prospecting, right? The keys are getting everything in the CRM, prospecting the right companies. If you're new to the job, you're going to want to prospect for companies that are going to close within the first couple months, because if you don't start closing companies within the first couple months, you're going to get fired. You can have those long-term big company closes that you contact infrequently, but you need to prospect. You need to spend the most of your time on companies that are actually going to close. So this is very, very important. And this is all stuff you need to recognize when you're trying to sell a client. Again, I know there's a lot of information in this. Have a look at the article or the whole guide, the definitive guide to sales. This is part 3. The whole guide is something like 25,000 words. So really go into it. If you're new to this, go have a look at the article, take notes. I just want to give you like an overall view from the audio and video here, but have a look at the article and take notes, because I know there's a lot to digest. So we're in how to sell a client. We just covered prospecting. Now the next move is find the decision maker. Okay, this is where a lot of guys fuck up. If you're pitching the secretary, which I've heard new guys do, like you're doing it wrong. Okay, you need to know the exact decision maker in your industry. And the good thing is we have the internet. I can't imagine what it was like selling prior to the internet, but the internet means you can find on LinkedIn or on, just Googling who is the person for your industry. when I sold advertising, it was the VP of marketing, right? That was the guy who signed the checks, and it usually was a guy. But then you would have a million other people who could be what's called influencers. An influencer is a marketing manager, assistant marketing manager, marketing coordinator. Most of these people were girls who were like 25, like new to the company or whatever. They could influence the decision maker, but they were not the guy who signs the checks. And you do not want to pitch them first, okay? You want to pitch the decision maker first. Why? Because let's say you pitch Betty who's the assistant marketing manager, and she doesn't want anything to do with you, and then you go over her head and pitch the decision maker. Well, and let's say he wants to do business with you. He's going to go, okay, I'm interested. Let me put you in touch with Betty from marketing, and you guys can work it out. And then you're going to have to call her up again, and she's going to fucking hate you because you made her look terrible to her boss, and you showed her that she has no power, that you went over her head and showed her that she actually doesn't matter, and she's going to hate having to work with you, and she's going to try and sabotage the deal whenever she can. If you had gone to the decision maker first and he would have put you in touch with her after that, she'd be happy to work with you. She'd just be like, okay, this is who Scott wants me to work with. You call her up, you're charming, you're friendly. She's going to be like, oh, sounds like a nice guy. Let's have a meeting to talk about this more. So that's why you want to pitch the decision maker first, and because you don't want to take a no from a decision maker or from a non-decision maker or an influencer, but you also don't want to take a yes from an influencer if you can avoid it, if you could pitch the decision maker first. The reason is, let's say Becky likes your deal and she goes to Scott at the monthly meeting and pitches it in front of the team. Well, let's say Scott's not interested and she's not going to sell your deal like you would. She's not going to manage all the objections. She's not going to be able to get it over the line. But if you were talking to Scott directly, you could have closed the deal. So this is very important, why you need to pitch the decision maker. If you can't get a hold of the decision maker, then that's when you want to pitch the next person down. So the decision maker is the VP of marketing. One step below might be the marketing manager, and below that's the assistant marketing manager. So you start from the top and you go all the way down if you can't get a hold of anyone. But you always want to start with the decision maker. Next point here, which is number 3 on how to sell a client, greeting and pitch. So the key pitch is to get the key information out in as little time as possible. In call centers, they have these horrible 3-minute clunky unwordable scripts that no one wants to listen to, and everyone's just waiting for a pause in the conversation to tell this guy they're not interested. That's not how you get a client, okay? The way you get a client is a 30-second soundbite that has a greeting, it has your pitch, and it has your unique selling proposition all within 30 seconds, because anything more than that is irrelevant because they are not listening, they have no attention span, and they just want to get you off the phone. The first 10 seconds is just the greeting, and from second 10 to second 30 is the pitch. And from second 10, once he realizes this is a sales call, the clock is running against you because he's already like, fuck, this is a sales call. How do I get this guy off the phone? So within 20 seconds, you need to change his mind and you need to give him something of interest. So let's say I'm pitching RLD. I don't have clients, but let's say I was calling up clients and I would say, hey, John, it's Will. How's it going today? Or I'd say, hey, John, it's Will from RLD. How's it going today? And he'd say, yeah, it's all right. What can I do for you? And I would say, look, John, I'm calling. I'm a personal development coach here. And what we do is hardcore self-improvement for men. That means results-based, realistic, not Tony Robbins bullshit, but stuff that actually works and stuff that actually gets results, and it's honest and ethical. Okay, I don't actually do this service, but that's how it would sound. So what I'm doing is the first 10 seconds I'm doing my greeting, okay? When he's asking me what can I do for you, he's trying to figure out what the meaning of the call is. And so the second I say I'm from Revolutionary Lifestyle Design, he knows it's a sales call. And he's probably thinking, oh, fuck, I'm getting sold. How do I get this guy off the phone? So in that 20 seconds, I'm saying I'm personal development, blah, 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 hardcore, not like the average generic snake oil salesman type thing. Tony Robbins is good. He has some good stuff. But like I said, I don't like that whole you can be anything, anyone can be anyone, because he doesn't manage the expectations, right? If you're a 7-year-old guy, you're not going to be able to get 21-year-old hot girls, which is why every article I do or every audio video, I give you what to expect within the realm of realistic possibilities. So let's say the guy's hearing that and the first thing he thinks is, oh, personal development, that's fucking garbage. I tried that before. I got burned. It's a waste of money. I spent all this money on these audio CDs. Gave me some slight motivation for a while, but that was about it. But then when I say, like, results based, not generic, not internet marketing garbage, not Tony Robbins, then he's gonna be like, this guy sounds a bit more honest. Maybe this guy's legit. Maybe he can help me. I'm going through a divorce, and let's say he's in pain, right? That's gonna be the call that I connect with, the guy who's actually in pain. Every guy who really gets into my site is coming from a position of pain. Like, he's reading my motivational stuff. Those are the guys who email me. Those are the guys who want to talk more because they are in serious pain, and I've got the solution to that pain point. So I get a guy who's going through a divorce. He's going to be like, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more about your service or whatever? So now I got him hooked. But in the greeting and pitch, it's the 30-second introduction, my company, the reason for my call, and my value proposition. My value proposition is my unique selling proposition, right? I'm not like the rest of these personal development guys that, are running some type of scam or just generic, useless information. I'm a real deal. And boom, I can do that all within 30 seconds. And with the conversational tone that I'm using, it makes me not sound like a call center monkey. Like how I'm talking to you right now, I'm talking like conversationally. I'm not reading off of a page like a fucking robot. When you're talking to someone, here are the key things to remember. You convey energy, enthusiasm, friendliness, and competence. You want this guy to like you and to know that if he does business with you, you are going to be able to put him in a good mood and you're going to be able to handle his account competently, quickly, and efficiently. If I'm calling up someone, I'm saying, hey, it's Will from RLD. I'm a confidence coach and I'm personal development. Right away, he's going to be like, how is this guy going to make me more confident, right? He's going to be like, this guy's a fucking loser. And even if I did do business with him, he's going to fuck it up because he's not competent. It's like when you have to call the phone company and you hear a guy stumble over his greeting and he can't speak English properly and he's got a huge accent, you're gonna be like, oh fuck, this is gonna be an ordeal. You're like, oh god, I'm already pissed off because I'm calling the phone company, and it's gonna take me 20 minutes to explain to this guy what I want while he stumbles over his fucking English. And then you're gonna think, why don't they just hire people who speak fucking English? On and on and on. So and energy, enthusiasm, friendliness, competence. Those are the keys. Next point, fit. So once you get the fit out of the way, you need to see if this guy is going to, once you got the greeting and pitch out of the way, you need to see if this guy is going to be a fit for your product as soon as possible. When I sold commercial currency, the first thing we would ask once the greeting and pitch is out of the way is, do you do business in the US or in Europe? If the guy says no, then he's out, because how can we do a commercial currency transaction if he doesn't do business in other dollars or euros? It's impossible. So ask the fit, ask to see if he actually needs your services, because otherwise you can be pitching a guy for 10 minutes and find out, well, he doesn't actually use what I'm selling, right? So get that out of the way, right? If he says yes, then say, okay, great. And then once he says yes, go into the features and angles. So you figured out the candidate's a good fit. It's time to hit him with exactly what your product does, right? Now I'm going to get into my unique selling proposition again, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to give some of the features and benefits. Again, this should be done relatively quickly because he's still not hooked. He's like he's interested, but he's not hooked. You'll know when there's a hook point in the conversation. It's when he starts to ask you questions and then really get into it. So you're going to go through the features of what you do, a little bit of the benefits, how it would benefit him, but not too much, right? And then you want to get into a bit of an angle. And an angle is how you tailor your pitch to your client's needs, right? For some situations you can combine that with an urgency scenario. I don't like to use urgency in my business now. Like, if you read my sales pages, I never do buy now, you've got only 2 days left and you get it for a special discount. But if you've got targets to make and you got a sales manager breathing down your neck, urgency scenarios do work, okay? A common angle for like a penny stock broker would be to tell the client there's hot news on the stock and you got to buy today. It's up to you whether you want to use it, but if you can use an angle plus an urgency scenario, it does increase your close rate. Like, an angle would be you have some information about his company that you can use in your pitch and then add the urgency scenario to that. You know, you tell them you have an inside line on stock and it's going to be worth X by the end of the day as long as they buy now. Okay, I don't recommend doing that because that's dishonest, like the Jordan Belfort penny stock method, but I'm just using that as an example of an urgency scenario. I don't recommend dishonest angles, but the perfect sales call will usually have an angle tailored to your potential client's pain point. So you want to know a little bit about his company if possible, or about some news related to his company. And the angle is something you can use early on in the conversation, but you can also use it later on after we get to the questions section. So now we're in questions. And the key to getting a guy past to the hook point is to ask informed questions about his business. So there's nothing more people like than talking about themselves. And you want to see how your product fits in his plan. And the point of your questions is to find what his primary pain point is, okay? It could be he's getting bad service from his provider, or they're too expensive, or he doesn't like the guy he's dealing with. But you're going to ask him question. As long as he's answering the questions in like an amicable mood, then you're going to keep asking him about it. Be like, so who are you using right now for your currency provider? Okay, how's that going? All right, what kind of what's your spend for that? Something like that. You want to know as much about it as possible, and then eventually you're going to get to the point where he's going to leak why he's talking to you. He'll be like, it was going all right, but I just can't get a hold of the guy. He doesn't answer my calls. He only answers about 50% of my calls, and now you know what his problem is, right? Because he's only talking to you if he has a problem. Now you know his problem is he's not getting his account handled properly, and boom, you know what to do. So that gets you to your next section, which is benefits. And the benefits you're going to be emphasizing are your relationship management skills. Benefits, as opposed to features, are what your potential client would get from using the features of your product. So the way you break down the benefits for him is in response to his answers to your questions. So, like I said, the guy's not handling his account properly, not getting back to him, and I would say, look, the way it is with me, John, is I want clients for a lifetime. I want to be in this business as long as I possibly can, which means that relationship building is the core of what I do. And I want my clients to be as well informed as possible. There's never going to be a point where I'm going to leave you hanging. The most you're going to wait is an hour to hear from me, at the absolute most. And that's true. I would never leave a client. I would never not call a client back within an hour. Never, ever, ever. So that's what I would sell him on. I would sell him on the benefits of working with me. I wouldn't even bring up price, right? Because I know what his pain point is. I know from the questions that I've asked, and I've already gone through some of the features. So now I'm going through the benefits, and I'm getting him to picture what it would be like doing business with me, and that he's not going to have to be irritated about someone he can't get a hold of. He's always going to get a hold of me, right? And now he's picturing that in his head. And he's like, man, that would be nice. That'd be nice working with Will. I wouldn't have to, worry about getting a hold of this guy, blah, 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 blah. Now, there's always going to be some type of objection to why he's not going to buy with you. So no deal closes without objection. So the next step is this is around the time where we're going to get to the objection management. You might have it a bit earlier on, but usually the guy is not going to start to object, at least real objections, until now. And a real objection is a guy who is interested, but he has a problem, and he's kind of like asking you to solve his problem. A guy who just doesn't want to talk to you is just gonna be like, no, I can't talk. I can't, like, I have to go, right? That's not an objection. That's just the guy who's just not fucking interested. An objection is like, well, I can't do that because of X. And if he's putting up the time to object, that means he's interested. So no deal closes with objections. So let's say, like, we're carrying on with the currency thing, and the guy's having a problem with his current broker. He's going to say, well, Will, that sounds great, but, like, I've been working with John for years, and he's handled us well, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, right? So his objection, the reason he's still in business with this guy is he feels guilty to say no and to stop having to do business with him, right? And I'll say something like this. I'll say, like, hey, look, I understand, you've got a relationship, but I mean, if it was a good relationship, wouldn't he be getting back to you? Wouldn't you be feeling like you've been taken care of? How much money have you been spending with him? He's like, oh, I do $200,000 a month in currency transaction. I'd say, whoa, $200,000. You think that would buy you a proper relationship? I mean, don't you deserve that? Like, I get it, you're a loyal guy, but don't you deserve to have your needs met for the amount of time and money you're spending on this client? And he's gonna go, well, yeah, that sounds reasonable. I'd be like, look, you don't even have to call the guy, right? You just have to look. I'll make it real easy for you with transition. I'll call him if you want to. Like, you don't even have to do any of that. I'll do all the paperwork. I'll make this as easy as possible. In fact, I'll call the guy up for you and tell them that, I'm going to be taking your business from now on, right? It's no problem for me. You don't have to do anything. I'm going to handle everything 100%, and you're never going to have to deal with those problems anymore. This is a very rough, general objection management. But what I'm saying is I'm handling exactly what he's saying, and I'm giving him the solution for it. And he'd be like, okay, kind of sounds interesting. Maybe we should talk more about it. I'm like, boom, okay, this guy's almost ready to do it. Now it comes down to closing, right? The close might not necessarily mean a deal, but it means the completion of an objective. So depending on how it's going and how it is for my industry, I'm either going to try and close him right now, or I'm going to try and pitch a meeting. I'll say, okay, John, let's meet up. When are you free this week? I'm free Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, perfect. I can stop by your office Tuesday afternoon at, say, 2 p.m. Does that sound good for you? Yeah, that sounds good. All right. I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to send you a time confirmation so you got it in your calendar, and we can go from there. Looking forward to meeting you. He's going to be like, great. Or I might just close him on the phone. I'll be like, look, I'm going to send you over the document on the e-sign document right now. All you have to do is sign it. I filled it out for you. I filled out all the company information for you. Just sign it and send it back, and we can do a test run. We'll do a small deal this week. If everything works out perfectly, then we're good to go. If not, then you don't have to do any business with me, right? You're not under any obligation, but let's just test it out. If you're happy with it, we can go from there and start increasing the amount of deals that you want. Sound good, right? I'm selling them like, you just have to sign with us so that you can do business. You can always, you don't have to do it in the future, blah, 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 blah. Sending him the document, sign it, sealed, delivered, closed, boom. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to call you Thursday. We'll do a small test deal, and we're going to take it from there. Sounds good? Good? Okay, let's go. So that's the close, right? The close is so much of sales literature talks about closing, but close is really like the afterthought to all the work that you've done. But you do have to close. You do have to make it happen, but you have to get them to the point of being on the close first. So that is how to sell a client. Next section, how to sell a business relationship. This is something that a lot of guys do wrong. Every week I get a couple guys reaching out to me on some type of partnership, and the vast majority of them are horrible. Actually, almost 99.9% of them are horrible because they don't have sales training. I'm not blaming the guy in particular, but you don't have sales training. If you want to get in business with someone, the proper way to reach out to a guy is similar to the sales protocol above. Except if it's like you want to do business with someone like me or someone online, then email is the way to go, because most guys online aren't going to have phone numbers available. Just reach out real polite, real humble. Tell the guy you love his stuff. Introduce yourself. Go what you bring to the table, and then tell him how you add value to his business. So every guy with a business has a huge ego, and bloggers especially, myself included, like no one would start a self-improvement website without a huge ego, and I have an ego the size of the room I'm in. A guy who reached out to me really well was this guy Seth Rose from Masculine Books. I was talking with him. I told him Masculine Books was a great idea. I thought it was a great site. It's these good book reviews for men. He's a very good writer, and it's a completely underserved niche. And I just, out of the blue, gave him a few ideas that I thought would help. In turn, he came back to me with an email, and he was polite and not demanding. And he said, "Look, Will, I want, I'd be interested in hearing more of your thoughts on helping me with the site." And what he did was he flattered me, and then he came with me with an offer for 50% of the profits on the site, which is very generous. For a minimal amount of time, I said, "Sure, I'll get on Skype with you and talk to you for an hour about that." He said he's going to promote my books in his sidebar and be affiliate. I was like, "Great, yeah, let's do it." It was a no-brainer for me to volunteer with him, and I did. I gave him some pointers that were helpful, and eventually I said, 50% is unfair. I just said, "Look, keep one of my books on your sidebar and we're good," because I liked the guy. So he was able to get my business by offering something like that. The majority of the offers I get are just spam. It's just some guy who's obviously like, "Hi, I like your site, Revolutionary Lifestyle Design. I am a CEO consultant, or I do video editing. I notice you have videos on YouTube. I do video editing." Okay? Most of them are garbage like that. If you want a business relationship with someone, do the same type of sales you would, but within an email. Greeting, pitch, flattery, unique selling proposition, and then, see if the guy's a good fit. It's the same kind of criteria. And it is all like, you can take how to sell a client and use that on how to sell a girl, right? My Tinder book, the way it's set up and the diagram I have is as a sales tool. I look at every girl I'm talking to. If I'm trying to get laid, it's the same exact cycle. Greeting, pitch, fit, objection management, all that shit. It's all the same. It's all selling. It all goes on that straight line, on that formula. Selling your website, same thing. Solving problems. Okay, like when it comes to the blog, the way I sell my site is I'm getting you guys to buy into me, my personality, my lifestyle, but most importantly, my ability to solve your problems. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about solving your problems. And if I didn't do that, no one would care about me. They only care about the amount of value that I can bring to the table. Putting reader experience first, putting value first, responding to emails quickly, responding to customers quickly, all the same stuff that I do in sales, I'm doing on my website. How to write a sales page, same way. Check out my sales page. You can see in the article here, the Definitive Guide to Sales Part 3, I break all this stuff down because this is harder to describe on the audio. But basically, how to write a sales page, I use an example from my How to Get Laid on Tinder. There's the pitch, which is learn how I fucked 10 girls in 5 weeks, how to find DTF girls and get rid of time wasters, exactly what to message her, blah, blah, blah. Then I identify their pain point. Do you want to fuck tons of new girls every month? Of course you do, but when it comes to sex, most girls are wasting your time. You're probably tired of spending tons of money in cash and drinks on taxis and covers and going to clubs and still going home and not getting laid. Then I offer the solution. Before I mastered online dating, I was just like you. That was then, this is now. And then I show some clips of girls that I got off Tinder. Then I get into the benefits and I just say, here's how the book will benefit you. I list the benefits. And I go to the features. Here are 22 awesome things you'll learn. Then I handle the objections. I literally list it as answers to your questions. and then I go into the close. If this is not the best book you've read about getting laid online, it's free. I offer a 60-day money-back guarantee that I honor, and then I break down why I honor the guarantee, because I tell guys, in this day and age, if I don't honor the guarantee, I know that guarantees don't mean a lot in this day and age, but here's why I'm going to honor that guarantee. Because one, it only takes a couple bad reviews on some dating forums and to say, I bought a book from Will, I asked for a refund, he didn't give it to me, he's a scumbag. For that to be one of the first things that people search for in this book, or my name, right? In this day and age, it only takes a couple guys doing that. So I tell guys I'm going to honor the guarantee, because for $25, the cost of the book, you think I'm going to let someone post that I'm a scumbag and a liar and I don't offer a refund? Never. Impossible. I will 100% give you a guarantee because honor the guarantee because it's in my best interest. And I offer a guarantee because that takes some of the buying risk off of the guy, right? Okay, he's got a guarantee. If I don't like it, I'll just send it back. And then that's the close. And then I say, start getting laid today, get your copy now for $20. So you'll see, if you go through the article, you'll see all the shit is the same, right? It is all greeting, pitch, fit, features, benefits, handling objections, close. All the same shit. You can go through a million sales seminars. It's all going to be telling you the same stuff, right? So that's it, guys. Again, really have a look at the article. I know there's a ton of information to digest here, and I don't expect you to be able to digest it all from just this video, but go through. It's a 4-part guide. If you're really serious about sales, take your time, write the notes. It's free, so check it out on revolutionarylifestyledesign.com. Also check out parts 1 and 2. Parts 1 is the industry overview of sales. Part 2 is what a day-to-day life is like in the life of a salesman. And check out the next part in the series, which is part 4, how to service your clients and customers. But that is it. As always, I want to thank you so much for listening, watching, and reading, and I wish you all the best.